Early last year, Lexus took the wraps off of the all-new 2021 Lexus IS Sports Sedan. Now, it was dubbed as a heavy refresh by myself and several other publications. So for 2022, Lexus is hoping to bring a little redemption to the IS line with the introduction of the V8-powered IS 500 model. That's right, there's an IS 500 model that'll be going on sale later this fall. So let's take a first look. Now, there have been rumors circulating the internet that Lexus would be bringing back a V8-powered IS to the lineup for this new generation of IS models. And you guys know Lexus hasn't offered a V8 in the IS since the second generation model that was dubbed the ISF. So I'm really happy to see Lexus stuffing a V8 back into their compact luxury sports sedan, especially when you look at the segment as a whole. This segment in general is changing completely, and no other offers a V8 anymore. Mercedes has killed the V8 in the C63 AMG, which has been replaced with a hybridized four-cylinder for the next generation model, or for the upcoming generation model. BMW killed the V8 in the M3 a while ago, and of course there's the Audi RS5 and RS4, which again use a twin-turbo V6 as opposed to a V8. So Lexus is really the only one offering a V8 in a compact sports sedan, so that's gonna give it somewhat of an edge, somewhat of a, gotta have it factor among enthusiasts, because it's just a dying breed of an engine. So I'm really happy to see Lexus doing that. Now, of course, instead of offering it as an ISF, Lexus is introducing it as an IS 500 F Sport Performance. It's the new lineup of F Sport Performance models, as if that isn't already confusing and long as it is. Performance after F Sport is basically going to mean that it has an upgraded engine as opposed to it being a sport appearance package, which is what it's always been in the past, which leads me to think that a real F model, the next generation of F models, will have even more powerful forced induction engines. There are rumors, of course, of a 4-liter twin-turbo V8, which would be shown, of course, in the LCF whenever that decides to come out. So Lexus said that that model is apparently back on the table, so it's only a matter of time before we see a version of that. Now let's talk a little bit about the IS 500, because that name Lexus actually trademarked last year, so a lot of people knew or assumed that something was coming. And what's the big news, of course, is the engine. It's a 5-liter naturally aspirated V8. It's the same V8 that we find, of course, in the RCF and the old GSF, which has been discontinued. It makes the same 472 horsepower and 395 pound-feet of torque. Remember, it's a naturally aspirated engine, and it doesn't create that 472 horsepower until you get to 7,100 RPM. This motor will rev to around 7,300 RPM. So it's a high revving, mean sounding V8 that has some tune of American muscle when you first start it up. It even has the signature quad outlet stacked exhaust system that you get from the RCF. So it basically is an ISF, but Lexus instead is calling it the ISF, or the IS 500 F Sport Performance, to show up a new lineup of performance-oriented F Sport models. Now, of course, that V8 will be paired to the company's signature 8-speed direct shift automatic transmission. It's the same transmission that we find in the IS 350 rear-wheel drive models. Remember, the IS 500 will remain rear-wheel drive only. It'll put that power down to a Torsen limited slip differential. So no all-wheel drive. Lexus says with that limited slip diff, the 8-speed auto, you should be getting to 60 in around 4.5 seconds, which should match the performance that you get from an Audi S4. It's a little bit slower, of course, than a BMW M340i and a Mercedes AMG C43. But again, those models have V6 engines as opposed to this bellowing, high revving V8, which so many enthusiasts love to hear, which is quickly becoming a dying breed. Now, even though this V8 is obviously a bigger and heavier motor, Lexus says at around 3,900 pounds, the IS 500 is only around 150 pounds heavier versus its rear-wheel drive IS 350 sibling, which again only comes with a 3.5-liter V6 that makes 311 horsepower. So we do have a nice healthy jump over the V6, and you also get roughly 56 more horsepower versus the old ISF, which we haven't seen since 2012. Now, moving on to the exterior styling of the IS 500, it practically looks identical to any other F Sport models. There are a couple of key differences, of course. Looking at the front fascia, we have the unique F Sport grille, of course, which has the intricate L's that create kind of a mesh finish. The hood itself on the vehicle has actually been raised about 2 inches to accommodate that big 5-liter V8. So you again have more of a muscle car look with the stacked hood. No visible air vents or exposed vents, which would have been fake anyway, so I kind of appreciate that. And then Lexus also said they puffed out the fenders of the IS 500 again to accommodate larger tires and to accommodate that engine. Now, speaking of which, the IS 500 will roll on unique looking 19-inch wheels, which are a smidge wider, of course, than the IS 350. Lexus didn't have any tire specifications, but I'm imagining it's going to have a staggered setup, and perhaps maybe the rears would be like a 275 width, because it's going to need fatter tires to be able to put that power to the pavement. Now on the inside, there are very little changes, of course, to differentiate it from a regular IS 350 F Sport model. Lexus says they did put a unique steering wheel on it with some black badging to go along with the black badging that you get on the exterior of the vehicle. You also have a unique door sill and aluminum pedals that you get from the F Sport model. And then they have also redesigned slightly the instrument panel, where it has a new graphic, a new engine startup graphic in that digital display, which is again LFA inspired. It's a rather small looking display with a moving tack, but of course it's going to flank that higher Redline to show that it's a naturally aspirated V8. And then of course, to go with the rest of the interior, it's still practically the same refreshed IS stuff with the 10.25-inch Lexus Inform infotainment system with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. And of course, you still have that lovely trackpad, which a lot of enthusiasts or a lot of journalists and a lot of consumers aren't really the biggest fans of. The interior is probably the most dated element about the new IS, even the IS 500. But Lexus says it's going to come standard with their latest safety system. So it'll have Lexus Safety System 2.5, which means you have adaptive cruise control, automatic emergency braking, lane keep assist. But really, in terms of finding the most modern sports sedan, you're really going to want to look from other manufacturers from Europe, or even Tesla, of course, with the Model 3. It's really going to come down to what your preference is, because the IS is one of the most old school designed compact sports sedans you can buy, you know, right down to its dated feel on the interior and its old school V8. But hey, if you're looking for something like that to do burnouts, to do power slides, the IS is going to do it, and it's going to do it in a very nice manner that's going to sound terrific as well when it goes on sale this fall. Now, speaking of which, pricing has not been announced yet for the IS 500, but if you look at the pricing of the regular IS, it starts at $39,000, tops at around $56,000 for the IS 350 F Sport with all-wheel drive. Now, an RCF starts at around $66,000, so I'm imagining the IS 500 F Sport Performance, there's a tongue twister, will be less than an RCF. I'm going to anticipate Lexus is going to probably put the starting price in the mid $50,000 range, maybe come in at around $58,000, $59,000. That would make it a little bit more expensive than European competitors like the Audi S4, the Mercedes C43 AMG, and of course the BMW M340i, and it's going to also mean it's more expensive than something like a Tesla Model 3 dual motor or dual motor performance. Now, hopefully Lexus does surprise us with the pricing, because if they can get the pricing just right on this vehicle, it will be an enticing offering, especially with that V8, 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds, and those lovely noises that's going to come out of the quad exhaust system. I'm just happy to see that Lexus is doing something with the IS to make it stand out in this segment, because their refresh, the heavily refreshed model that I tested last year, was a really big disappointment. They didn't touch the powertrain. This is, of course, Lexus trying to give us a redemption for the refreshed IS, so hopefully it'll do well when it goes on sale this fall. But with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my brief first look overview of the 2022 Lexus IS 500 F Sport Performance. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.